Hey YouTube, welcome to another video. This video is a bit of a special one because my app that I've been working on with AI is now live. You would have seen in the previous video that we were deploying the app onto render, and then what I've done is I've deployed it twice actually, once to a staging environment, and now this is the production URL. Won't be accessible just for the time being because what I need to do is basically build our website and landing page so that I can get my Stripe account verified, because Stripe only verify if you have like an actual website. I didn't realize that, so can't actually go live, but we are live in the sense that it's deployed and it works. And yeah, giving a little bit away here with the name, the big reveal. I'm calling it Kernel, as in, you know, a kernel of knowledge, kernel of an idea, one thing, and then the kind of headline is build your second brain one atomic note at a time. So I thought this was kind of a good, I enjoy writing, and you know, I've written so many blog posts over my time, but what I'm probably not as strong at is just coming up with that kind of one sentence. So did leverage AI to help me out, and did get some feedback from some people on some initial ideas in a Facebook group I'm in, and also on Reddit. And then as I thought about it more, I was like, you know what, although I've predominantly built this for myself, I do hope that other people use it. And I was like, you know, what are terms that people are going to be searching for? And obviously one concept is that of a second brain. If you're not familiar with that, it's just, yeah, I mean, like, you Google second brain, you're going to see a whole heap of stuff of people talking about building second brains, you know, all different types of things, books. There's an app that someone else has done as well by the looks of things. This Ali Abdullah guy who's pretty popular on YouTube. So there's a bunch of people who use that concept. Same thing with atomic note. Or atomic notes, you know, that's a concept as well. So instead of going with, you know, Zettelkasten or a Zettelkasten inspired thing, because, you know, that really was the genesis of the idea, instead I wanted to incorporate these kind of two keywords from a search engine optimization point of view. So build your second brain one atomic note at a time. So now what we're going to do in this video is actually work on, I kind of gave it away a little bit, our landing page, get our website up and running. And just for context, so I'm using WordPress with Elementor. I know a lot of people don't like WordPress and think that Elementor is a little bit bloated, but in terms of being able to get something to market super quick, I find it really good. So we're not actually writing any code, obviously. There might be some small CSS that we want to do and adjust, but generally speaking, we're going to use the drag and drop widget. So then what I also have done is, one of the other areas where I probably, you know, I actually quite enjoy trying to find color combinations, but I find that I always default to a certain set of colors. You know, I really like navy blues that mix well with yellow. I really actually do like oranges a lot of the time. So some of my apps in the past about oranges, orange color schemes. What are some other ones? Purples I've often used for different things. Anyway, basically what I want to do is go, hey, let's not use my own kind of thought process. Let's step outside the box a little bit. And I came across this blog post on Canva, and I thought it was really cool. Basically, they looked at all of these photos, and they got the you know, hex code for the colors that are in a photo. And the idea is that, you know, basically nature, when you go out and walk in nature, you know, often things just naturally go well, right, in nature. You know, the mountains, the trees, clouds, the sky, etc. You know, it's very rare that you see something that looks ugly in nature. And yeah, the concept here is, you know, if these colors work well to the human eye outside and in nature, then, you know, perhaps they're good ideas for a color scheme for an app. So what I did was I kind of just took a few of the ones that I like, and I think if you look at these, you'll see that there's, you know, quite some darker tones, midnight blues, blacks, deeper greens, with some highlights of like yellow, also some good font colors like this smog one, and a few kind of, yeah, highlights, as I said, some reds and blues coming through. So I did that, and I've landed on a few colors that I want to explore, but, you know, now what we've got to do is build a landing page. Okay, I'm going to jump in here and do a voiceover because a couple of reasons. A, if I didn't speed this video up, we'd be here for about 5 hours, and B, there was a portion of this where my son had unplugged my microphone again, and I hadn't realized. So just building out this website using WordPress and Elementor, and using a couple of additional plugins that give some additional styling options. So thinking of the heading there, I was really happy kind of landing on the tagline, which is build your second brain one atomic note at a time. I think it really encapsulates the idea of what I want to achieve. And for now, I'm just kind of playing around with a few different background colors and font colors. I know a lot of people would kind of recommend just doing this in a design tool first, for example, Figma or something like that. But I personally find, when you have something like Elementor and you're working on it solo, it's, just maybe not just as good, but almost as good, just kind of playing around, testing things out. So I have a couple of different landing pages also open that you'll see I keep flicking to. One's craft.io, one's Loom. There's a couple others. I look at the Ghost CMS platform as well, just for some inspiration. One of the things that I've traditionally struggled with when designing websites, landing pages and that kind of thing is either A, having way too much white space and it just looks very, very stark, or B, kind of not having enough white space and, there's just kind of colors and backgrounds everywhere. Just getting a couple of screenshots here, sorry for blurring it, but in my documents I do have a couple of photos that I didn't realize for my kids. I didn't want those on the internet necessarily. So yeah, after that hero section, we will have a kind of left-right traditional layout. I was playing around here with this capture what inspires you section, kind of like a second area to reinforce some of the capabilities, but decided to move away from that. That was Ghost there, and I really liked their approach where they had this kind of additional text that I guess built on what was in the headline or the subtext, and then provided more of a paragraph style explanation of what the tool is and does. So we decided to leverage that. After that, I continue to get a couple more screenshots. These aren't the final screenshots. I do have another video that I append at the end of this one where I just kind of run you through the final website. These were just like some rough placeholders so I could figure out what to do. And yeah, move to this alternate left-right scheme where we have a complete background, a full solid background, and just playing around with some of the padding and spacing. So what I also opted to do was use ChatGPT just to help with creating some of the kind of text. I've written a lot of blog posts. I've written a lot of landing pages as well, but I still find that, I guess as the founder or someone who created it, sometimes you get caught up in your own head and you can't think about how best to articulate what it is a tool does in a short and brief way. So as we're going through this, you'll start to see I'm kind of narrowing in on these colors. So this kind of like bone off-white color for the text, and then this darker, almost it's not black, but like a dark with a hint of maybe navy blue through it as the other main background color. And if you're familiar with Elementor, you can kind of define those as variables so that they're reusable. So when I was just testing before and throwing different colors, different ideas on, I didn't set them as variables. And then once I kind of narrowed down, I'm like, yep, I'm happy with these. That's when I then save them as variables to use. So as I said, I really struggled with either too much white space or not enough white space, and I had that solid background color. But on the Loom website, I saw that they kind of had these background color centralized over a particular, kind of like this central box, I guess, and that's the approach that I decided to explore now. Still with that left-right configuration, but I think it kind of achieves the best of both worlds. It's not just pure white background everywhere, but it then doesn't just have one big solid background across the whole length of the screen or the page. So ultimately, that's what I decided to go with. And on the home page, I really just kind of want to highlight some of the main features, being the ability to create your second brain, capture notes and sources and that kind of thing. Again, I will run through the kind of final landing page as it is live at the end of this video. So again, you're kind of using ChatGPT, give it a few prompts and say, hey, look, I'm looking for inspiration on how to describe this feature, and I kind of give it an initial cut or initial draft. I found that ChatGPT, some of the variations were quite good, but then what I ultimately did was kind of take the best bits of each one and piece it together. Obviously, ChatGPT is only as good as your prompt, and sometimes, the prompts were better than others. And where I liked certain terms or how it was kind of phrasing or articulating it, I'd often try and give it feedback so I could use that feedback to then make the next series of prompts a little bit better. So this is just me kind of doing that. The landing page is very much a V1, and as this is more of a personal project, I mean, I do hope that people use it. I know there's a lot more I could do here from a SEO point of view, but one of the other reasons why I'm just focused on getting this live was that it was a requirement of Stripe to have an active landing page before you can get your production keys validated. So as you see, I quickly switch close there. It's another day when I was recording this next part coming back. I do play around briefly with some animations. I think they can make websites a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive, but ultimately I do abandon this and just go back to finishing off the landing page. There's some slight hover animations on some images later on though, just so that they pop a little bit more off the screen. So yeah, just continuing with the kind of overall review of features. I think we're now looking at the source feature, so the ability to save your note, but then also tie it to the source of where that knowledge or inspiration came from. So yeah, I actually, looking at this again, I reminded myself, I found that it was quite good to prompt Claude ChatGPT first of all to come up with like a one-liner, and then from that pick the best one-liner and then say, hey great, like this is the kind of tone, this is the kind of style, but now what we need is something that's a little bit more than a one-liner. We need a subheading, and we need a some subtext that goes underneath it. So I did start doing that. It's always a balance, right? Like you want something that's captivating and engaging. I think context is king is a great example of that. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean? And then you can expand on that and say, hey, this is about saving the source of the notes or knowledge that you add to your second brain in Kernel. And then obviously the text underneath, I think, is better suited to expanding on that idea. So, if someone does have questions, they can read and get a little bit better understanding. I think out of all the things that I've learnt, over the different years of building landing pages, websites, blogs, is a lot of people don't actually read. A lot of people skim, right? So your content both has to be skimmable and also readable. Sometimes it needs to be readable more so for SEO purposes than it does for humans. But there is that small portion of human who is going to go, and read everything if they're still not 100% sure of the solution, if it's right for them. So at the end of all of those feature sections, just want like a final call to action. So just working on that now. At the moment, none of these buttons actually go anywhere, so I do come back and fix that up a little bit later on, because we're still deploying to render for production and setting up the domains, etc. I actually do spend quite a long time playing around with this button color. One of the challenges I actually had the most was with that dark background and then like quite a light text, finding a button color that worked well, as in stood out, but then also didn't detract from the existing color scheme. I'm still not really happy with the color I chose, but I think for now it'll do. You'll see that very shortly. But I actually go through this probably, I don't know, maybe half an hour on button colors. I don't know. I end up basically putting them all on here, all the different variations that ChatGPT recommended. I actually find, it's a great tool, really, AI, just using it in terms of like, hey, I want you to generate colors that are this scheme or that scheme or lighter, darker, etc. I know there's some other tools out there that you can kind of put in the hex codes, and it doesn't. I've used a few of those, but it's quite easy just chatting with ChatGPT and getting it to do all the work for you. So yeah, you can see some of the different variations. It was recommending a lot of like teals, a lot of blues, some golds. It also recommended not having any background on the button, so like just a border with the white bone color. So yeah, I end up kind of testing a fair few of those variations. After a while, a lot of the colors do start to look fairly similar. You can see those kind of two darker blue ones there at the top now. They are actually different colors, but yeah, very, very similar obviously to one another. After a while, I then have to go through and I end up deleting these. I do check them on the alternate background just because I was trying to find a color that would potentially work with both. So this is just me shortlisting down, and ultimately I end up on that blue color, although I mean, even now looking at it a second, third, fourth time, however many times it is, I kind of do like that green color as well. But ultimately I choose the blue, and that's what we ran with for now. Again, probably something I overthought a little bit longer than expected. And I think that's just about it. There we go. So we've landed on that, just playing around with some of the padding to make it stand out a little bit more. And having our second call to action, where we also repeat that kind of pattern that sits behind the back or on top of the background of the kind of I don't know what you call it, but polygon morphing image. Kind of, I think, represents quite well the idea of a brain and the connections in your brain and the connections of nodes. So I thought it worked quite well. Here I am as well, just kind of setting some of those variables again in Elementor once I'd kind of landed on the different font sizes, font weights, that kind of thing, so that they're easy to reuse. Do try and make sure that I set everything in rem just so it's more responsive out of the box rather than pixels necessarily. Alright, after that we create a features page. Again, I want to keep this kind of fairly short, looking at a couple of these other websites for some inspiration, Craft, Loom, etc. Adio was another one, Overflow. You know, when you launch an MVP, obviously you don't have as many features to focus on anyway, but basically I go with the three kind of core pieces of functionality and then kind of provide some subcontext to each of those. So atomic notes, sources, and the ability to create your own custom source types. Again, I kind of use this background where there's a central section with the background color that alternates between the light and the dark, and then alternate left, right for the feature details, I guess. Obviously making sure that there's a good amount of padding. And then for now, again, you're also using dummy images. I do want to put a video on this page, you know, potentially also do it on the home page, but you know, it's just another job, something else that needs to be recorded, and at the time I didn't have it, so we do just have a placeholder there. From an SEO point of view, I did kind of struggle a little bit with the heading on the features page, thinking like what's going to be fundamentally different but still explain what the app does, just so we could try and rank for some additional keywords, but ultimately I don't think I really do a good job on that front, at least for now. Yeah, we still have the keywords of second brain and atomic notes, but it's worded slightly differently in the end, as you'll see. Again, using ChatGPT here to create the variations for the subheadings for each individual feature and just providing a little bit more context. Again, wherever possible, you know, prompting it to say, hey, I like this, I don't like that, this is the style I'm going for. If you spend a bit more time on the prompt up front, you could probably get it right from the get-go, but you know, it's not too much more work to kind of give it some additional prompting along the way, and ultimately that's what I'm doing here. So this is very close to the heading that I land on, and I was thinking about prompting it with a question, but yeah, ultimately don't prompt it with a question. I just kind of shorten what it recommended. Maybe in hindsight we could have fast forwarded through this a bit quicker, but it's at 18 times, so yeah, running through it as quick as I can, and shortly after this we'll start seeing some more stuff go onto the page. And on this page, I do actually go with the idea of having like subtext under the heading, whereas on the home page I didn't. I think, yeah, I don't know. My assumption is if you're familiar with the term second brain and atomic notes, maybe the headline alone on the home page is enough. But yeah, I mean, actually looking back at this now, I can see, that kind of subtext does read pretty well, I think, in my opinion. Experience the power of a second brain where every insight from books to podcasts is captured as an atomic note and linked to its source, creating a powerful repository of personal knowledge. That's really what the app does. So yeah, I think maybe we could revisit the homepage and look at doing that. So yeah, we're working on the atomic note section here, obviously. So I want to highlight a couple of different things when it comes to atomic notes and like the idea behind it. So obviously the core purpose is to capture the core of your knowledge. Like what are the insights that you are subtracting, if that's the right word to use, or extracting, I should say, from the book or the podcast that you're reading, watching, listening to, etc. And then from that, how do you add personal context to the notes that you capture? So, focusing on, what's your thoughts as it relates to what was shared, or adding additional context around the kind of core insight. And then not directly tied to the note itself, it's more of, overall functionality, but closely tied to the note is adding structure to that. So being able to put things in folders and put things, tag content as well. And that provides some functionality behind the scenes that allows you to see related notes in Kernel. So almost finished off the atomic note section here, just playing around a little bit with the left-right padding and some spacing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next main piece of functionality, which is sources. So every note has the ability to be connected to a source. So again, it's tightly coupled functionality, but it is possible to have sources without notes attached to them in Kernel. And that's something I kind of also want to highlight. Someone might have a source that they want to save, but maybe they haven't really added any notes from that source. But we're still finishing off some of the atomic note functionality here at the moment, it looks like. That's right, I was playing around with scrolling effects. I abandoned this idea pretty quickly. I just don't have the time to worry about that for the moment. I just wanted to get the site live, looking good, at least to an initial degree. Alright, so yeah, again, prompting ChatGPT, create a source, giving us some context as to what we do with sources. I'm not using that blue color, don't worry. I just think I did that because I couldn't see the text initially. So with sources, it's all about connecting your knowledge to its source. That's kind of the first main feature associated with it. And then every source, you can see all of the notes attached to that source, which is kind of pretty neat if you want to look at a book and your source, which might be a book or a podcast, for example, and then see all of the notes that you took from that. And then enhancing your sources with any personal insights as well. You could add that as a field to each source, and then kind of share what you think about it as well. Again, probably another area where we could have sped this up a little bit more, but 18 times is 18 times. If you have got this far, I'd be keen to hear your thoughts on what you think about some of the headings, subheadings that ChatGPT created. If you think they're effective, if you reckon any of them should be rewritten. As I said, I'm conscious the landing page is very much a V1. It's a good starting point. It ticked the box for what we needed to be able to be verified for a production account with Stripe so we can take payments, but always more work to be done. After this, we now move on to the next feature, which is ability to create custom source types. So out of the box, with Kernel, there's a whole heap of source types that you can select from, things like YouTube videos, podcasts, books, blogs, webinars, live events, Slack chats, all these different places where you might learn something that you want to save. But I'm conscious that everyone has their own unique approach to learning. And for example, with me, I've been watching some masterclasses recently. If you're not familiar with masterclass, it's basically like a Netflix style application, but for real world knowledge and experts who kind of share their thoughts and opinions and things that they know. And then, you could create that as like a custom source type, because the fields that you want for that source type are going to be different to maybe what's out of the box with some of the other ones. So we do that. So ability to customize your own source types, present sources in your own way, and then also be able to sort your source types as well, so you can very quickly and easily filter to what's good for you. We've moved on now. I just quickly create like an about page. So a mission, a vision, a little bit of a story. I will go back and expand on this at some point in time, but again, for now, I just wanted to make it obviously appear and show that there's a little bit of thought that's gone into this, and why I've created it. What my kind of thought process was in doing that. Again, I doubt many people are going to read it, but it just helps kind of create a little bit more of a comprehensive website. I do prompt AI here to use, see what it would look like if you use something a little bit more edgy from like Alex Hormozy or Sabri Subi, who's an Aussie if you don't know him. How they would write. I don't think I take too much away from this for the About Us page from memory. I found the mission and the vision were kind of a little bit too long, so I wanted to shorten it down. Ultimately, ended up kind of taking some of what it provides and writing my own. And then for each page, I kind of land on this general approach, which is quick and easy to do. Just like a header section, which is set to like 60 view height with a H1 as the main section, obviously, and then text underneath. So I use that throughout all of the different pages on the website that aren't the features of the homepage. So do that with About Us, and also the what am I talking about? The legal pages like terms and conditions, privacy policy, cookie policy, etc. Here I do keep more of that solid background. I think it works okay because there's not too much text, and it's not too long a page. But I think if when we're talking about this on the homepage, if you were repeating these sections over and over again, it would be quite a lot having solid backgrounds consistently. Alrighty, what are we up to now? So still haven't built the header. I think that's what we're moving on to now. It's been a while since I've built a header in Elementor, so I did have to remind myself a few things. Probably haven't done exactly perfect, and then end up setting some negative margin on it so that it overlays on top of our existing backgrounds and stuff, just so we can still have that polygon effect in particular on the home page. Just trying to get that right, set the right amount of margin, ultimately get it to work. It would be good if they had like an out-of-the-box option that allowed you to overlay menus on top. I don't know if they do. I haven't seen it, but if you're familiar with Elementor and have used that, achieved that some other way, I'd be keen to know. As I said, at the moment, I just basically set a negative margin so that it does overlay. We do need to also build out the menu. I don't think I've done that yet. So in WordPress, you can define different menu types. Alright, so this is me setting the menu. I do look briefly at some of the menu options that I have from these add-ons. So I have unlimited elements and happy add-ons. I didn't purchase these specifically for this project. I had licenses already for another project I was working on. You can get away with them. You don't need them for Elementor. It does give you a bit more flexibility. I don't think I'm really using too much, if anything, really, of it on the existing iteration of the landing page. But later on down the track, having a little bit more flexibility might be nice, and some of these pre-built elements that we can use to make things a little bit more visually appealing. So I do have to play around with the containers just to get it looking right, how I want it. And where are we up to now? So yeah, you can see it's kind of overlaid. Still need to play around. There's a bit of that white bar, works well. Just making it shorter. Small screen. We do have to go back and fix up the logo, and we got to fix up the hover text. So just quickly do that. Setting the color, setting the size. I've just gone with Inter as the kind of main font. Then with templates in Elementor, you can set display conditions. I think what I was trying to do here was see if I could set it on certain pages that I tagged a certain way, because I need a light variation of the header for where there's dark background, and then a dark variation where there's a light background. But I couldn't find a way of doing that just by like tagging or categorizing pages. So in essence, with this one, I just need to set it to the feature page. So if anyone knows how to do that, where I would be able to like tag each page as either a light page or a dark page, and then have a different header apply it, that would be helpful to know. And then just looking at creating the terms and conditions, there's a couple of sites in Australia, Legal Vision and Airtree Venture sometimes have some docs. But I did come across this page on Stripe where it said some of the docs that I need, so I just stick this into ChatGPT and ask it, hey, what do I need to do? There's a few things. Obviously the normal ones that I was aware of: terms and conditions, privacy policy, cookie policy. I did also recommend things like acceptable use policy, refund policy, and it also said that having live chat or very clear contact information was important. In the end, when I did verify with Stripe, it happened instantaneously. I think that's just kind of a benefit of being in Australia, unfortunately, for people who might be in other countries. I just basically put in all of my company details, and it looks like literally instantaneously. But anyway, go through all of this. Obviously this isn't legal advice. Get your own legal advice. And if you need to, make sure these are correct and in line with the laws for your country. I got a little bit of experience doing, working with this stuff, so I was happy to use what ChatGPT provided with a little bit of editing. I am just prompting it around some of the GDPR compliance, because it was a little bit, it wasn't super clear how it would affect a certain, I can't remember now exactly, but there was this clause that I wasn't really familiar with. I just wanted to make sure that I address that appropriately in our terms and conditions. So yeah, basically that's where we get to. And ultimately we're running into an issue there with ChatGPT. I don't know why it was not generating, but we move on to our cookie policy. And that's where the video ends. So I'm going to stop the voiceover now. The video kind of ended a little bit abruptly, and didn't end up doing a final overview of the website. So I did go back and change some of the placeholder images just once I got some better screenshots from the application itself. And this is just an overview. It's very much a V1. It will improve with time, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the kind of tagline. I think it says exactly what the app is: build your second brain, one atomic note at a time. And if you're in this kind of space, the term second brain and atomic note should definitely resonate with you. Nice clear example of the notes dashboard. Potentially change this to a video, or at least a revolving like GIF or autoplay kind of video in the background that maybe shows a little bit more in time. I really like this approach from Ghost, where they kind of just describe in a little bit more detail. So added that, and then added these additional images that kind of zoom in a little bit on hover, just to give a little bit more context to what you can do. Updated the pricing plan, made sure all that looks correct, and added links to all of the buttons. And then we've got our features page. So this just expands on a little bit more detail. So kind of basically three key features, and then kind of 3 sub features associated with each one. So for example, with atomic notes, instantly capture the core of your knowledge, add the personal context, and then add structure with tags and folders, sources, and then also being able to create custom source types. And then from there we've got our pricing tab, which just links back to the home page, takes you down to the pricing, and then we've got a contact page as well, just keeping it fairly simple, and then all of the legal terms and conditions, etc. that we needed. I have added this live chat support widget here. This was a requirement. We kind of can't see that because my image is blocking it, but when you look at Stripe's requirements, they say you have to have kind of chat support and easy ways for people to contact you in order for them to verify your account, although mine being in Australia was verified pretty quickly. So yeah, it's just a very quick wrap up of the landing page. As I said, very much V1 will improve it over time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.